The first time I saw my design in their catalog, I almost dropped my coffee. There it was, my exact pattern of woven copper threads through natural linen, the same metallic sheen I'd spent months perfecting in my garage. Except now it was being sold under the Weber Interiors brand name, with my sister-in-law Rosalie credited as the creative director. My name is Maureen, and 6 months ago I'd shown that same design to the Weber family over Christmas dinner. I remember Maria, my mother-in-law, examining the throw pillow with perfectly manicured fingers before passing it to Arthur with a smirk. "Darling, this is quaint," she'd said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "But surely you don't expect to compete with actual designers?" I stood in my kitchen now, staring at the catalog page until the edges blurred. The doorbell rang, startling me back to reality. It was Marley, my new intern, arriving for her first day. "Mrs. Weber?" she asked, extending her hand, young, bright-eyed, hungry to learn. "Please call me Maureen. Come on in. We'll be working in the garage." I led her past the pristine living room where Andre insisted we maintain appearances, through to my makeshift workshop. Cardboard boxes lined the walls, filled with carefully wrapped candles and textile samples. My industrial sewing machine sat wedged between the washing machine and a shelf of cleaning supplies. "It's not exactly glamorous," I said, watching her take it all in. "It's perfect," Marley replied, already rolling up her sleeves. "Where do we start?" We spent the morning packaging orders, mostly small batches to local boutiques. I showed her how to wrap each piece in copper flecked tissue paper, tie it with hand-dyed ribbon. The garage door was open, letting in fresh air and the sound of sprinklers from our manicured suburban lawns. "Your husband's family owns Weber Interiors, right?" Marley asked as we worked. "Do they know about this?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Oh, they know. They just don't take it seriously." The front door opened and closed, Andre coming home early. His footsteps approached the garage, and I tensed instinctively. "Maureen," he called out, "Mother's invited us for dinner tonight. She's announcing something about the company." He appeared in the doorway, impeccable in his tailored suit. His eyes swept over the boxes, the workstation, Marley carefully measuring ribbon lengths. "You're still doing this?" he asked quietly. "This has a name, Andre. It's called Ember and Root, and yes, I'm still building it." "Mother says—" "I don't care what your mother says anymore." He sighed, loosening his tie. "Just don't be late for dinner, and maybe change into something more appropriate." After he left, Marley looked at me uncertainly. "Are you okay?" I picked up my phone, pulled up the Weber Interiors catalog page. "See this design? I created it, showed it to them months ago as a prototype. Now look who's taking credit." Her eyes widened as she connected the dots. "That's terrible. You should say something." "No," I said, a plan already forming. "I'm going to do something better. I'm going to build this business until they can't ignore it anymore, until they have to acknowledge every single thing they stole and dismissed." I grabbed my notebook, started sketching a new design. "Want to learn how to actually run a company, Marley? Not just the pretty facade they show the world, but the real work?" She nodded eagerly. "Good, because I'm going to teach you everything, and then we're going to use it to show them exactly what this quaint little hobby can do." That evening, I walked into the Weber mansion wearing a dress that cost more than my monthly production budget. Maria held court at the head of the table, announcing their expansion plans for 3 new flagship stores. "Of course," she added, glancing my way, "some people think success comes from playing with crafts in their garage, but real business takes vision, strategy, connections." I smiled, thinking of the orders I'd shipped that morning, the growing list of boutiques asking to carry my line. "You're absolutely right, Maria. Success takes strategy." Rosalie preened as Maria praised her new textile collection. My textile collection, but I barely heard them. I was already calculating profit margins, marketing plans, the exact steps needed to build something they couldn't steal or dismiss. They wanted to treat me like an outsider? Fine. I'd show them what this outsider could do, one careful strategic step at a time. 6 months after launching Ember and Root's website, I got the email that changed everything. A lifestyle influencer with 2 million followers wanted to feature our copper threaded throw pillows in her home renovation series. Holy shit, Marley whispered, reading over my shoulder in our new rented office space. We'd outgrown the garage 3 months ago. Do you know what this could mean? I did, but I'd learned to keep my excitement contained. Let's not celebrate until we see the numbers. The feature went live on a Tuesday. By Wednesday morning, our inventory was sold out. By Thursday, we had a wait list of 3,000 people. We need to scale up production, Marley said, frantically answering customer service emails like yesterday. I was already making calls to our suppliers when Andre walked in. He rarely visited the office, preferring to pretend my business was still just a hobby. Mother's hosting the annual Weber Interiors Gala next weekend, he said, looking uncomfortable in our modest space. She expects us both to attend. I'll be busy with production deadlines. Maureen, he sighed, this is important. The whole industry will be there. I thought about the wait list, the mounting orders. Fine, but I'm bringing Marley as my +1. The gala was exactly as pretentious as I expected. Crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, Maria holding court in designer couture. I wore a simple black dress, but made sure my jewelry was from our newest metalwork collection. Quite bold, wearing your crafts to such an event, Rosalie said, sidling up to me. Her eyes narrowed at my necklace, though I suppose someone might mistake it for real designer pieces. Oh, these are very real, I replied. Just like those textile designs you claimed as your own? She flushed but recovered quickly. I have no idea what you're talking about. Excuse me, I need to speak with Father about some concerning numbers. Marley appeared at my elbow as Rosalie walked away. You need to hear this, she whispered, pulling me behind a massive floral arrangement. I just overheard Rosalie talking to Paul from accounting. They're in trouble. Something about investors pulling out. What kind of trouble? Big trouble. Paul mentioned emergency board meetings, possible store closures. I watched Maria laugh with her society friends, Arthur bragging about expansion plans. Their perfect facade was cracking, and they didn't even know it. The next morning I called Wade, my old friend who'd become a corporate lawyer. I need you to look into something for me, I said, discreetly. 2 weeks later, our production had stabilized enough to keep up with demand. I was reviewing quarterly projections when my daughter Serenity wandered into the office after school. Mom, look what I made in art class, she said, holding up a woven bracelet with copper threads. My heart swelled. She'd been watching me work. It's beautiful, honey. Want to learn how to make it even stronger? We were working on the bracelet when Andre called. Mother wants to discuss a business proposition, he said. She's suggesting a merger between our brands. I almost laughed. Our brands? Yes, well, she's noticed your recent success. She thinks it might benefit everyone if we brought Ember and Root under the Weber umbrella. You mean she's finally noticed I'm not just playing with crabs? Maureen, please, this could be good for both companies. I looked at Serenity still carefully weaving her bracelet, at Marley who'd grown from eager intern to invaluable partner, at the office walls covered in design sketches and vision boards. Tell your mother I'll think about it. After hanging up, Marley raised an eyebrow. You're not actually considering it, are you? No, I said, pulling up our latest sales reports. But sometimes you have to let people think they're in control while you're building something bigger than they can imagine. That evening I received another email, this time from a major department store chain. They wanted to discuss exclusive retail rights to our home goods line. Mom? Serenity asked as I read the email. Are you going to be famous like Aunt Rosalie? I pulled her close, remembering all the times the Webbers had dismissed us both. No, sweetheart, I'm going to be something much better. I'm going to be successful. Marley stayed late, helping me prepare for the department store meeting. As we worked, she pulled up the Weber Interior stock reports on her tablet. Look at this, she said. Their stock dropped 12% this quarter, right when ours started taking off. I thought about Maria's merger suggestion, about all the times they laughed at my little hobby. Keep tracking those numbers, I told Marley, and call Wade tomorrow. I think it's time to start planning our next move. The pieces were falling into place, slowly but surely, and this time I wouldn't be the one getting played. The flagship store project is dead, Andre announced over breakfast, his face buried in his phone. Our main investor pulled out last night. I carefully stirred my coffee. What happened? Some journalists exposed issues with our Asian manufacturing plants, labor violations, environmental concerns. He loosened his tie. Mother's furious. The board meeting this morning will be brutal. I thought about the documents Marley had discovered last week, internal reports detailing exactly those violations, reports that had somehow found their way to a prominent business journalist. Maybe I could help, I offered innocently. Our sustainable manufacturing partnerships? Please, he cut me off. This is serious business, Maureen, not your little eco-friendly project. That evening, Maria insisted on hosting an emergency family dinner. The tension in their marble-floored dining room was thick enough to cut with the sterling silver knives. We need fresh ideas, Arthur declared, swirling his whiskey. Something to restore investor confidence. What about influencer partnerships? I suggested. Our engagement rates jumped 300% after. Oh, darling, Maria interrupted. Let's leave the marketing discussions to those who understand luxury retail. 3 weeks later, I watched from my office as Weber Interiors launched their new influencer campaign, exactly as I'd suggested, down to the specific content strategy. They're not even trying to hide it anymore, Marley said, dropping a stack of papers on my desk. But that's not the interesting part. Look what Paul's been up to. The documents showed a complex web of financial transactions, money moving between accounts, questionable investments, suspicious consulting fees. Where did you get these? Let's just say Paul's assistant is very interested in a position at Ember and Root. I was studying the papers when Andre came home late that night. He looked exhausted, his usually perfect appearance rumpled. Mother wants to discuss merging our companies again, he said, pouring himself a drink. She thinks your brand could help modernize our image. You mean she needs my success to save her failing empire? Don't be dramatic. We're just having a temporary setback. Like the setback of stealing my designs or dismissing every suggestion I've ever made. I stood up, anger finally breaking through. Or maybe like the setback of never once defending me to your family. He stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. What happened to you? You used to be so sweet. I grew up, Andre. I got tired of being sweet while your family treated me like dirt. The next morning, Marley burst into my office waving her tablet. We won! Ember and Root just won the National Eco Luxury Award. As congratulations poured in, I noticed Weber Interiors stock had dropped another 15%. Their flagship store cancellation had made headlines and rumors about financial misconduct were spreading. Mrs. Weber? My assistant poked her head in. Your daughter's school called. Serenity's waiting to be picked up. I found her sitting alone on the school steps, clutching her art project. The other kids said Grandma's company is in trouble, she said quietly. Are we in trouble too? No, sweetheart, we're doing just fine. I hugged her close. Sometimes things have to fall apart before they can be rebuilt properly. Back at the office, Wade was waiting with news. Paul's been cooking the books for years, he said, spreading documents across my desk. The whole Weber empire is built on sand. One good push, and it all comes crashing down, I finished. You could destroy them, he said carefully, or you could save them on your terms. I was considering his words when my phone buzzed. An email from Paul himself. Need to meet urgently, it read, regarding the future of both our companies. Marley read it over my shoulder. This is it, isn't it? Everything we've been working toward? I thought about Maria's sneers, Rosalie's theft, Andre's passive betrayals, about all the times they dismissed me as just a housewife playing at business. Call Wade, I told Marley. Tell him to prepare the paperwork. It's time to show them exactly what this housewife can do. That night, I sat in my home office looking at old photos. Me in the garage, covered in candle wax. The first trade show booth we could barely afford. Serenity helping pack orders on weekends. Andre found me there, still in his suit from another crisis meeting. The board is considering selling, he said quietly. Mother's devastated. What about you? He looked lost, this man who'd never had to fight for anything. I don't know anymore. I touched the latest sales report on my desk, Ember and Root's numbers climbing while Weber Interiors crumbled. Don't worry, I said, thinking of Paul's email. I have a feeling everything's about to change. And for once, I would be the one calling the shots. Maria and Rosalie arrived unannounced at my office on a Tuesday morning. They looked out of place among our modern, minimalist decor, too polished, too artificial. You scheming little witch, Rosalie spat before the door had fully closed. You planned this all along. I kept my voice level. I'm in the middle of a meeting. Don't play innocent, Maria cut in. We know what you've been doing. The leaked documents, the strategic timing of your product launches, poaching our suppliers. Marley stood protectively near my desk. Mrs. Weber has a conference call in 10 minutes. Of course she does, Maria sneered. The great businesswoman. Tell me, dear, did you seduce Paul to get those financial records or just pay him off? I felt a familiar cold anger settle in my chest. Like you paid off the design team to steal my work? You have no proof of that. Actually, I pulled out a folder. I do. Would you like to see the email trail, or should we discuss the manufacturing violations first? The color drained from Maria's face. Before she could respond, Andre burst into the office. Mother, what are you doing here? He looked between us, frowning. The board is waiting. Your wife is destroying our family, Rosalie said, and you're just standing there. Andre's face hardened. Maureen, this has to stop. Whatever game you're playing. Game? I stood up slowly. Is that what you think this is? You're deliberately undermining our company. No, Andre, your company is failing because of years of corruption and mismanagement. I'm just better at business than you are. The silence that followed was deafening. Andre stared at me like I'd slapped him. Better? Maria laughed sharply. You're nothing but a housewife who got lucky. A housewife who's outperforming your entire empire in sustainable sales, Marley interjected, pulling up the latest market reports. Would you like to see the numbers? Later that evening, I found Andre packing a suitcase in our bedroom. I'm staying at the lake house for a while, he said without looking at me. I need time to think. About what? How your family's finally facing consequences? About how my wife turned into someone I don't recognize. He zipped the suitcase. Mother was right. You've changed. No, I grew. There's a difference. After he left, I found Serenity in her room, pretending to do homework, but clearly having heard everything. Is Dad leaving because of your company? She asked quietly. No, sweetheart. Dad's leaving because sometimes grown-ups need space to understand things. Like how Aunt Rosalie stole your designs? I sat beside her, surprised. How did you know about that? I heard her bragging to her friends at Christmas. She said you were too naive to do anything about it. My phone buzzed. Wade calling with updates. The acquisition paperwork is ready, he said when I answered. Are you sure you want to go through with this? They're not leaving me much choice. I watched Serenity return to her homework, set up the meeting. The next morning, Marley arrived with coffee and determination. Paul called again. He's getting nervous about the board finding out his role in all this. Good. Let him sweat. There's something else? She hesitated. Rosalie's giving interviews, painting you as a vindictive outsider, trying to destroy their legacy. I laughed. Let her. The numbers speak louder than her lies. We spent the day finalizing details for our biggest move yet. By evening, everything was in place. You know this will change everything, Marley said as we reviewed the documents one last time. There's no going back. I passed the point of no return the day they stole my first design. That night, I sat alone in my office looking at an old photo from my first Christmas with the Webbers. Everyone smiling for the camera, me still trying so hard to fit in. My phone lit up with a text from Andre. Mother's going to the press. Says she has proof you orchestrated this whole thing. I typed back, she's right, I did, and I have proof of everything they've done too. His response came quickly. Why are you doing this to us? Because you did it to me first. I turned off my phone and pulled out the acquisition agreement Wade had prepared. Tomorrow I would present the Webbers with two choices: accept my terms for buying their company or watch me release everything I had on their corruption. Either way, I would win. Serenity appeared in the doorway in her pajamas. Mom, are you okay? I smiled, patting the chair beside me. Come here. Let me tell you a story about why we never let anyone make us feel small. She curled up next to me as I began to speak, my voice steady and sure. The time for being quiet was over. The Webbers arrived at Ember and Root headquarters exactly 3 minutes late, their final attempt at maintaining control. I watched through the glass walls as they were led into our conference room, their usual grandeur diminished by desperation. Ready? Marley asked, straightening my blazer. I've been ready for years. We entered to find them arranged like royalty in exile. Maria at the head of the table, Arthur beside her, Rosalie examining her manicure with forced nonchalance. Andre sat apart, his face unreadable. Let's skip the pleasantries, I said, taking my seat. We all know why we're here. Yes, Maria's smile was brittle, to discuss your ridiculous attempt at corporate extortion. Marley began distributing folders. Actually, we're here to present a solution to your impending financial collapse. How dare you? Arthur started, but Paul cut him off. Let's hear them out. His voice shook slightly. He knew exactly what documents I possessed. I opened my laptop, projecting our proposal onto the wall. Ember and Root will acquire controlling interest in Weber Interiors. We'll stabilize your finances, modernize your operations, and maintain the Weber name under new leadership. The room erupted. Absolutely not! Arthur slammed his fist on the table. This is absurd, Rosalie laughed hysterically. You can't possibly think. Your company is worth less than half what it was 6 months ago, Marley interrupted, highlighting figures on the screen. You've lost major investors, your supply chain is compromised, and 3 board members are facing potential criminal charges. Maria's face went white. You orchestrated all of this. No, I corrected. I simply paid attention while you were busy underestimating me. Every mistake, every corrupt decision, every ethical violation, those were all yours. Andre, Maria turned to her son, are you going to let her destroy everything we've built? Andre finally looked up. Did you steal her designs? The question hung in the air. Rosalie shifted uncomfortably. Of course not, Maria snapped. This is ridiculous. We're leaving. Before you do, I pressed a button on my laptop. You should know that tomorrow morning every major business publication will receive detailed documentation of your company's financial misconduct. Unless what? Arthur growled. I slid the acquisition agreement across the table. Unless you sign? This is manipulation, Rosalie spat, pure and simple. No, Marley smiled. This is business, pure and simple. Paul reached for the agreement. We should consider. Shut up, Maria hissed. This little hobby project can't possibly have the resources. Actually, I pulled up another screen. We have backing from 3 major investment firms. They're quite interested in our sustainable manufacturing model and proven growth metrics. Andre stood abruptly. May I speak with my wife alone? In the hallway, he looked older than I'd ever seen him. Did you ever love me, or was I just part of your plan? I loved you enough to spend years trying to earn your family's respect. What about you? Did you love me enough to ever stand up for me? He flinched. I didn't know. You knew. You just didn't care enough to act. Back in the conference room, Maria was attempting one last stand. The board will never approve this, she declared. Marley silently placed another document on the table, signatures from key board members already secured. Impossible, Arthur whispered. No, I said, just well planned. Rosalie suddenly lunged across the table, sending papers flying. You manipulative bitch! You've ruined everything. Actually, I remained seated as Marley calmly restrained her. I built something real. While you were stealing designs and playing princess, I was creating value. By destroying our family? Andre asked from the doorway. Your family destroyed itself. I'm offering salvation on my terms. Paul picked up the agreement with trembling hands. We should sign. Never, Maria stood dramatically. I won't let some social climbing housewife. Your other option, I cut in, is bankruptcy and criminal charges. Choose wisely. The silence stretched. Finally, Arthur reached for a pen. Arthur, Maria gasped. It's over, Maria. He began signing. She won. One by one, they signed. Maria laughed, her hand shaking with rage. As they filed out, Rosalie paused. I hope you're happy. You've torn this family apart. No, I replied softly. You did that yourselves. I just built something better from the wreckage. After they left, Marley poured 2 glasses of champagne. To the new CEO of Weber Interiors. I stared at the signed agreement, feeling strangely hollow. Was it worth it? You tell me. My phone buzzed, a text from Serenity. Did you win, Mom? I thought about the long road here. Every dismissive comment and stolen idea. Every night spent working while they laughed at my ambitions. Yes, I typed back. We won. But as I looked at the empty conference room, I wondered exactly what victory meant now that I had it. 6 years ago, I sat in Rosalie's office watching her present my designs to the Weber Interiors board. I was there by accident, early for family dinner, wandering the halls of their corporate headquarters. The copper threading technique is revolutionary, she was saying, pointing to my sketches, the ones I'd shared with her over coffee the week before. I've been developing this concept for months. I remember how my hands shook as I quietly closed the door, how the betrayal burned in my throat. Now I sat in that same office, but this time at my desk. The acquisition was complete, and I was reviewing personnel files when Marley entered. You need to see this, she said, placing a laptop in front of me. An old email chain between Rosalie and Maria filled the screen. The little homemaker actually thinks she has talent, Rosalie had written, but her designs could be useful. She's too naive to protect her work properly. Maria's response, take what we can use. She'll never have the backbone to challenge us. Where did you find this? I asked. Paul's assistant has been very helpful. There's more. Years of correspondence about deliberately undermining you. A knock interrupted us. Andre stood in the doorway, looking uncomfortable in the space that was no longer his family's domain. We need to talk about the separation agreement, he said. Have your lawyer contact Wade. Maureen, please, can we do this without lawyers, like we used to handle things? I laughed bitterly. Like we used to handle things? You mean when you stood by silently while your family stole from me? I didn't know. Stop lying. I turned the laptop toward him. Read these emails. Tell me again you didn't know. His face paled as he scrolled through the messages. They said you weren't ready for real business. And you believed them because it was easier than standing up for your wife. He sank into a chair. What happened to us? You chose your family over me every single time. And now you've taken everything from them. No, I corrected. I built something they couldn't steal. After he left, I found myself walking through the design department, my department now. Designers who used to ignore me now scrambled to look busy. Mrs. Weber, a young designer called out, I'd love to show you my latest concepts. Of course, I smiled, remembering how Rosalie had once dismissed my own eagerness. The girls' designs were beautiful, innovative. These are excellent. Make sure you document everything, I advised. Protect your work. Back in my office, Serenity was waiting with her homework. She looked up as I entered. Mom, are you different now? What do you mean? You seem colder, like Grandma Maria. The words hit like a slap. I sat beside her, really looking at my daughter for the first time in weeks. Do I scare you? No, but sometimes you don't smile anymore, not like when we used to make candles in the garage. Marley appeared with urgent papers to sign, but I waved her away. Tell me more, I said to Serenity. Remember when that first big store wanted to sell your stuff? You danced around the kitchen. Now you just look tired. A memory surfaced. Me at her age, watching my own mother lose herself in the corporate ambition. I promised myself I'd never become that person. My phone buzzed. Maria's name on the screen. I declined the call. Want to make some candles? I asked Serenity. For old time's sake? Her face lit up. Really? Don't you have important meetings? Nothing more important than this. We spent the afternoon in my private office workshop mixing scents and pouring wax. I taught her the copper wire technique, my original design, the one Rosalie had stolen. Is this how you started? She asked, carefully wrapping wire around a candle. Yes, in our garage, dreaming of something bigger. And now you have it. Are you happy? Before I could answer, Marley rushed in. Maria's approaching news outlets. She's spinning a story about family betrayal and hostile takeovers. I looked at the candle in my hands, then at my daughter's worried face. Let her. The truth is in the paperwork. But your reputation will be defined by what we build, not what they say. I handed Serenity another spool of copper wire. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction, it's creation. That evening, as we packed up our crafting supplies, Serenity hugged me tight. I like this mom better than CEO Mom. I held her close, thinking of Maria's coldness, Rosalie's cruelty, the price of revenge. Me too, I whispered. Me too. Housewife to CEO, the hostile takeover that shocked the design world. The headlines screamed from every business magazine. Maria's media campaign had backfired spectacularly, turning me into some sort of corporate Cinderella story. "They want you on Good Morning America," Marley announced, walking into my office. "And Forbes is doing a cover story." "No interviews," I said, reviewing the separation papers Andre's lawyer had sent over. "Let the business speak for itself." Speaking of business, she handed me a tablet showing our latest numbers. "We're up 200% since the acquisition. Your sustainable manufacturing model is revolutionizing the industry." The intercom buzzed. "Mrs. Weber, your husband, Mr. Andre is here?" He entered looking defeated, nothing like the proud Weber heir he'd once been. "The divorce papers are ready?" "Already? That was fast," Mother insisted. "She's convinced you planned this from the beginning, marrying into the family to steal the company." I laughed without humor. "I loved you, Andre. That wasn't a lie." "But you love this more." He gestured around the office. "The power, the victory." "No, I love what this represents. Everything I built while you all laughed at me." Before he could respond, Marley interrupted. "Sorry, but the board is waiting." The boardroom fell silent as I entered. The same people who once ignored me now stood respectfully. Arthur sat in a corner, stripped of his voting rights but required to attend. Maria and Rosalie had already been removed. "First quarter projections," I began, pulling up the slides. "Our sustainable initiative has attracted 3 major retail partnerships." "Remarkable turnaround," a board member commented. "The Weber name hasn't seen numbers like this in decades." Arthur flinched at that. I pretended not to notice. After the meeting, I found Marley in my office with a strange expression. "What's wrong?" "Your daughter's school called. There was an incident." I found Serenity in the principal's office, her eyes red from crying. "She punched another student," the principal explained, "after he said some unfortunate things about your family situation." In the car, Serenity finally spoke. "He said you were a gold digger who destroyed his aunt's family. His mom is friends with Aunt Rosalie." My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Violence isn't the answer. "That's not what you did when they hurt you?" "I use business, not fists." "Same thing," she muttered. "You still hurt them back." Her words haunted me through the afternoon's executive meetings. During a presentation about rebranding, I found myself sketching the old copper wire pattern that had started everything. "Mrs. Weber," a young designer approached nervously, "I found these in the archives." She handed me a folder of my original designs, the ones Rosalie had stolen, each one marked with her name, dated years ago. What should I do with them? I stared at the evidence of their betrayal. Frame them, hang them in the lobby with the correct attribution. But Mrs. Maria specifically ordered these hidden. Mrs. Maria doesn't work here anymore. That evening, as I prepared for a major press conference, Marley brought in a familiar box. "Remember these?" She pulled out the handcrafted items I'd given the Webers that first Christmas. Found them in Maria's office. She kept them all. Probably as trophies of my failure. Or maybe she recognized talent but was too proud to admit it. The press conference was packed. Cameras flashed as I approached the podium, Marley at my side. "Weber Interiors is entering a new era," I began, "one built on innovation, sustainability, and authentic design." From the back of the room, I spotted Maria watching, her face unreadable. "Our success comes not from destroying the old, but from building something new, something better." Afterward, Maria approached. For a moment, I saw past her perfect facade to the tired woman beneath. "You've won," she said quietly, "completely and utterly. Are you satisfied?" I thought of Serenity's words of the violence and victory. This was never about winning, Maria. It was about creating something real. By taking everything we built? No, by building something you couldn't take from me. She left without responding. I watched her go, remembering the young bride who once desperately wanted her approval. Back in my office, I found the custom gift samples I'd brought to that first Christmas dinner. Setting them on the boardroom table, I took a photo and sent it to Andre. Some things are worth more than family legacy. Some things you have to build yourself. His response came hours later. You always were the better builder. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. I looked at the handcrafted pieces, thinking of garage days and copper wire and a dream too big to steal. Time for the next build, I told Marley, something even they can't dismiss. The boardroom was empty except for me, sitting alone in the darkness. On the table lay the latest Forbes magazine with my face on the cover, the woman who revolutionized luxury home goods. A soft knock interrupted my thoughts. Marley entered carrying 2 cups of coffee, just like she had on her first day as my intern. Big day tomorrow, she said, sliding 1 cup towards me. The Sustainable Manufacturing Initiative launches across all divisions. Remember when we could barely afford eco-friendly candle wax? She laughed, then grew serious. Have you seen the latest about Maria? I had. After the takeover, she started a small design consultancy. It failed within months. She's requesting a meeting, Marley continued, says she has a business proposition. Of course she does. Should I tell her you're busy? I thought about revenge, victory, and the hollow places they leave behind. No, set it up. Maria arrived the next morning, her designer outfit slightly outdated, her confidence visibly cracked. The mighty CEO, she said, taking in my office, her old office. Enjoying your throne? What do you want, Maria? She placed a folder on my desk. Inside were designs, beautiful, innovative designs. Rosalie's been working on these, real work this time, not stolen concepts. Why show me? Because you won completely. And now I'm asking, no, begging. Give my daughter one last chance. I studied the designs. They were good, excellent even, and authentic. You destroyed us, Maria continued, her voice breaking. But you also forced us to see our own corruption. Rosalie's been in therapy. She's different now. Like I was different. Just a housewife playing with crafts? I was wrong about everything, and I'm sorry. The words I'd waited years to hear felt smaller than I'd imagined. My phone buzzed, Serenity texting from school. Made something in art class. It's for Aunt Rosalie. Attached was a photo of a copper wire sculpture, delicate and complex. Bring Rosalie in tomorrow, I told Maria. No promises, but we'll talk. After she left, I walked down to the lobby where my original designs hung proudly, properly credited. A tour group of young design students studied them intently. Those were created in a garage, I told them, by someone everyone underestimated. Back in my office, Marley was grinning. The sustainable manufacturing press coverage is insane. You're trending worldwide. Good. But I need you to focus on something else. Pull together a proposal for a new design incubator program for emerging artists who might be working out of their garages. Her eyes widened with understanding. Full circle? Something like that. That evening I found Serenity in my home workshop, carefully wrapping copper wire around a candle. Is it true Aunt Rosalie might come back? She asked. Maybe. People can change. Like you did. I picked up a spool of wire, started weaving alongside her. I didn't change, sweetheart. I just stopped hiding who I was. Dad called, she said quietly. He's seeing someone new. How do you feel about that? Okay, I guess. He sounds happier. Are you happier? I looked around at the workshop, smaller than my CEO office, but somehow more real. I'm getting there. The next morning I arrived early to find Rosalie waiting. She looked different, humbled but also more genuine. "These are mine," she said, spreading designs across my desk. "Really mine this time? No shortcuts, no stealing." I examined them carefully. "They're beautiful." "I understand if you say no. I wouldn't trust me either." "Trust is earned," I replied, thinking of garages and copper wire and long roads to redemption. "So is respect." I pulled out a contract. 3-month probation, junior designer position. You report to the team, not to me. One mistake and you're out. Tears filled her eyes. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. Thank yourself for finally doing the real work." Later, watching her interact with the design team, awkward but earnest, Marley brought me the final numbers for the incubator program. "We can fund 50 artists in the first year," she said. "Give them what you never had: support, resources, protection." I thought of that first Christmas dinner, of stolen designs and dismissive laughs, of victory and its cost, of building something new from the ashes of revenge. "Make it 100," I said, "and find the ones nobody believes in." That night in my workshop with Serenity, I finally answered her question from months ago. "Was it worth it, Mom?" I handed her a fresh spool of copper wire. "I didn't burn the house down, sweetheart. I built a new one on their ashes, and this time everyone's welcome to create something real." She smiled, understanding more than I'd expected. Together we began to weave something new.